What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we're going to be having a little bit of a look at a new Transformers battle card from the upcoming Rise of the Combiners expansion. It's called Secret Dealings, and if you like Plan, ladies and gentlemen, you are going to like this very much indeed. It has got a white pip and a green pip. That is nice. White pip, the first time you flip one while attacking or defending, lets you flip an extra 2 cards. And the green pip says that if you flip this card while attacking or defending, then at the end of the battle, not during, not before, at the end, you may discard a card from your hand and put this into your hand. Lovely. So that means that you're always going to be able to find it, but you got a white icon, and white icons are good. You need some white icons in your deck. White icons, frankly, are somewhat important. So it's nice to have them. But what does it actually do? Well, it is an action card, and it reads, draw a card, and then plan 1. Cool. Draw a card, plan 1. For those that have forgotten, plan is a new keyword skill in Wave 2 of the Transformers TCG, and what it basically says is that you can put a card from your hand on top of your deck. And we saw this back in Wave 1 with Incoming Transmission. Incoming Transmission let you draw 2 cards and then put a card from your hand on top of your deck. And this was really good because if you're attacking, and you'll often be attacking after playing an action, then you can make sure you put an orange icon down so that you're going to get extra fun time. So you're going to get extra attack. And then, of course, you could put something like Peace Through Tyranny down, which has a double orange icon, and that's going to allow you to get a double +1 attack boost. So this is going to really help you out if you're playing some kind of attacking deck. And like I say, no matter what kind of deck you're playing, you're going to need some white icons in order to get those extra flips when you're attacking or defending. And there is a point here where, and I just mentioned the card a second ago, you're probably looking at it and going, well, hang on a second, how is this not just a worse Incoming Transmission? This lets you draw 1 card and put a card on top of your deck, whereas Incoming Transmission lets you draw 2 cards and then put a card from your hand on top of your deck. How is Secret Dealings not just a rubbish version of Incoming Transmission? Good question. And the answer essentially lies in the pips. Because generally speaking, right, drawing 2 cards is better than drawing 1 card, because then, well, you can have more cards in hand. It means you're more likely to have the action card you want next turn, more likely to have the upgrade card that you want, more likely to draw something like Peace Through Tyranny with a double orange icon that you can put down ready to attack. Drawing extra cards is better. And remember, the Transformers TCG has no deck out mechanic. If you run out of cards in your deck, you don't lose the game like in so many other card games. You just shuffle your scrap pile and that becomes your deck. So generally speaking, there's no real downside to drawing cards here. I mean, maybe your opponent drops a security checkpoint, making you discard all of the upgrades in your hand, and you drew an extra one here. That could work. Similarly, maybe your opponent plays a system reboot, in which case you have to discard your hand and draw an extra 4 cards, and you might end up discarding something that you drew which you'd rather not. Okay, but generally speaking, with a few minor exceptions, drawing extra cards is good. And both these cards essentially have Plan 1, although it wasn't a keyword skill in Wave 1, so it wasn't called Plan 1. But the pips here tell the story. Because first of all, you've got a white pip rather than an orange pip. And like I've said, white pips are always good. Now, there are certain Transformers that adore playing white pips. So let's say, for argument's sake, you're playing Autobot Jazz. When you're in bot mode, you attack and you flip at least 2 white icons, you get Pierce 2. When you're in alt mode and you defend and your opponent doesn't have Pierce, and you flip at least 2 white icons, you cannot take more than 2 damage. So let's be clear, if you're playing Autobot Jazz, the more whites the better. But generally speaking, you want to play a few whites in your deck, not too many, because you only get the extra flips on the first white, and if you play too many whites, you're not hitting your orange and blue to add to your attack and your defense. There are a few characters like Autobot Jazz that are the exception here, but outside of that, you want to be playing a few whites. Whereas if we go back to Incoming Transmission, well, Incoming Transmission has an orange pip. Great if you're going for an attacking deck, not good if you're going for a defensive deck. If we look at something like double primes that generally plays Optimus Prime and Nemesis Prime, a lot of those builds, not all of them obviously, but a lot of those builds tend to rely on blue icons and trying to defend and trying to stay alive and trying to stay on the field. You don't want the orange pips. And then, of course, you've got the green pip here, whereby if you draw it or flip it when you're attacking or defending, you get to grab it. It is absolutely possible to play free incoming transmission, the most you're allowed to play of any card, always flip it when attacking or defending, and then never actually have it ready to use for the rest of the game. And that's, I mean, to be blunt, not ideal. So we have a worse version of incoming transmission with a better pip combination. And we see this in the Transformers TCG. You balance them out. White and green pip generally beats orange pip, but you're drawing one fewer card for doing so. It is one of the balancing mechanisms we see in the game. It adds a lot of strategy to the game. But the other thing that I've got to mention here is that there are some cards, some characters, that just adore having the double pips. So one of the new ones we saw in Wave 2 was Windblade, and we know we're getting another Windblade because of the pre-release image we saw, but we know we're getting a secret rare Windblade. And in bot mode, you get Pierce 4 against combiners, which is pretty sweet. But when you're in alt mode, when you flip to alt mode, you get to look at the top card of your deck, and if it's got two different color icons, hey, great news, you can play it. And that's not, you can put it into your hand, you can just play it straight away. So if you're playing Windblade, you flip into alt mode, you reveal yourself as secret dealings, and then you can immediately draw a card and put a card on top of your deck, which is pretty redonk. Now you do have one less attack, which is slightly upsetting. Other than that, the stats are the same. But it means that you can basically flip over here. You get to draw your card. You can use plan to make sure you don't really have lower attack. And if you've got the double pips, you actually end up with a higher attack. And then you can flip back into bot mode in a little bit. It is a great, great advantage to have. Not forgetting, of course, that because you're a plane, there's all kinds of stuff you can use like aerial recon that you wouldn't be able to use when you're in bot mode. Although aerial recon's kind of a funny example here, because it can only be put on planes when you attack or defend. You look at the top card of your deck and you may scrap it. So, of course, if you use plan 1, you put down a card, then you might end up scrapping it right away. It's just an example. The point is, we've got a card here that really likes these double icon cards, and there are way more double icon cards in Wave 2 than there were in Wave 1. I'm going to be exploring this in future videos as we go. It's too big a topic for today, but it is something that is absolutely relevant. And of course, and I mentioned this in a bunch of videos, and this worries me a little bit, but we can be having a little bit of a look here at Slipstream. Slipstream in bot mode, when you attack and flip at least 3 different icons, you get +3 attack until the end of the turn. Now, Slipstream is an 8 cost, which is the average cost. But it's got an attack of 3, which is 1 below average. So that's fine. Problem is, if you flip at least 3 different icons, you end up as an 8 cost with 6 attack, which is absolutely nuts. You've already got 1 more health than average, admittedly 1 lower defense in bot mode, and then 1 lower attack. But if you flip the 3 different icons, all of a sudden here, you end up as an 8 cost with an attack of 6 and a health of 13, and a defense of 1. That's a little bit silly. And this is one of those cards, if you flip this while you're attacking, you've already hit 2 different icons, a white and a green. And because you've hit a white, you get to flip 2 more cards, which means that the chances of not hitting the 3 icons are essentially 0. You'd basically have to flip, because you'd be flipping 4 cards minimum, you basically have to flip 3 other white icons in order to not get that. So Slipstream is getting a huge amount better, because I've mentioned this in a bunch of videos. I mean, yesterday I showed you both Scrounge and Smelt, both of which had a double pip combination, and it is making Slipstream a huge amount better. Why is that an issue? I said it was an issue. Why did I say it was an issue? Because it's a convention exclusive card, which is very expensive and hard to get hold of. We don't really want it getting OP. It's getting so much better in Wave 2. Of all the cards from Wave 1 that are getting better in Wave 2, this might be the number one card which is getting better. Let me know in the comment section whether that worries you. So if we finish off having our look at Secret Dealings here, it's a fine card. The double pip combination is great. It's not as good as Incoming Transmission, but it doesn't need to be as good as Incoming Transmission. If you're playing it for drawing and fixing the top card of your deck, just play Incoming Transmission, it's way better. But one thing I love about Transformers is it's not just about what the card does, it's about the pip combination, and in that regard, kind of blows Incoming Transmission out the water. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That is what I think about Secret Dealings. But I would very much like to know what you think about Secret Dealings. So please do let me know in the comment section. Go nuts. But please do remember the most important thing as always. Be nice, would ya? And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, and follow me on Twitter at the Wossy, where we talk about Transformers and a whole bunch of other games. But by far the most important thing as always is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wossy Plays.